Hi, this is Celeste with the Celestial Report, and it has been quite the morning to get this to you. And so I hope that you are going to enjoy this. I'm going to wait till I see a few people in the studio so that, people don't have to play catch up. So, anyway, hi, Blue Mariner. Yes, the truth cannot be disproven. If you think that you had trouble, you should see. I have been working on this presentation since 5 o'clock this morning, which is 6 hours. And it's not that long of a presentation. And I'm going to have to do it creatively because let's just say I am under siege. So if you were a praying person, I would be praying because Celeste is having a little bit of spiritual warfare going on here. Hi, Blue Mariner. Nice to have you. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Vape King. Hi, Ginny. Nice to see you all today. Let's see. It's not. Oh, there it is. I've got 49 people in here. Let's give it just a few more minutes. Hi, Hannah. Hi, RIP BBL. Hi, Madeline. Hi, bye. Let's see. Somebody gets uh, any opinions on mail order chicks. Let me focus on today's topic. And I do have, if you are part of my Telegram group, my official public chat, I can put my favorite one, but just getting this out has been like a monument, like climbing Mount Everest. So I would like to focus on that. Now, once again, I want to remind all of you that if you have a question, please put a question mark at the beginning so that as I scroll really quickly, when I'm done with the presentation, I think I just need to go through the presentation. Sometimes I stop in the middle and let you ask questions, or sometimes I'll look at the chats. But today has been so intense. You have no idea how intense. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get with it here. And well, Cindy, we'll see how long it lasts. Hi, Sandra. Okay, so basically, many of you asked about Soylent Green yesterday. And yes, I was familiar with the link between the technology and Soylent Green and where we were in the whole process. But today I did a little deep dive. And then once it's really a fairly short deep dive. And then all of a sudden, technology blocked. My studio was down for 2 hours. I was with tech support. I had weird phenomena in the morning, weird phenomena later. So, and now I have to read it from my phone because my computer refuses to bring up this document. That's how critical it is for you to know. So basically, in 2025, which I've been talking about for a long time, are we seeing depopulation and carcass management in action? And as soon as I can I tried to do it right now, or like before I got on to make this live at celestialreport.com, but it was not wanting to communicate with this computer. So I'll go upstairs after I do the presentation. After I ask your questions, I'll make it live, and you can either ask a question or whatever. If it doesn't come to you while I read it, then you can add it in the comments, or either the comments for YouTube or the comments on celestialreport2.com. So I first began covering the topic of carcass management back in 2006. And I think I put a picture of that. And I did do an interview with Steve Quayle, and it was one of his most popular episodes back in 2006. It was like lots of people had never heard about it. And so we're going to be talking about it today. So this is where, so from carcass disposal to carcass management is where they wanted to be um, in 2025 when they're expecting this huge depopulation event. And they wanted it to sound pretty. They wanted to dress it up, give it a makeover, make death and depopulation have a makeover. So they did this webinar, and I think Texas A&M was involved and some other people were involved. And you can't get it now. I tried to get the link, but I couldn't anymore. Now you need to know that the precursor for this carcass management stems back to about 2005 when they did the United Nations began and kicked off this whole agenda on October 31st, 2005. At that time, they crafted something called the Stamping Out Manual. They sent it over to Australia to beta test it for a couple of years. And once they got the bugs worked out of it, the FAO, which is basically a branch of the United Nations, did go ahead, and now it is codified. And then it went from the United Nations to all the signatory nations. So even in the USDA, you can find a stamping out manual. Although I've got to say, the original was so graphic, I had a copy of it back in the day. Of course, that's lost with my many moves. And I showed it to a farmer, and that person actually got sick by looking at the graphic images in it, because it tells how to depopulate different species, how to bury them, how to think about cultural and ethnic traditions, although I don't think that they would probably follow that today, but back in those days, they did. So I've got some slides in here which you'll be able to see. So why do I feel that this is now in the forefront, and where is the technology for this depopulation in Soylent Green right now? So there is an environmental term for Soylent Green, and it's called carbonization. And I give you the link in there. There's also a process called liquefaction, and that is a process that generates a liquid from a solid or a gas that generates a non-liquid phase, which behaves in accordance with fluid dynamics. And this is where we go down the rabbit hole. So there is a slide from that original 2006 carcass management that I show you, and it's stating the problem. And I'll read it for you. Death is a sad but inescapable fact of farming life. And quite frankly, the powers that be think that you're nothing more than livestock on their plantation. Sheep especially have a quite remarkable propensity for dropping dead at a moment's notice. But any farmer in any farming operation involving livestock, no matter how well ordered or managed, we will have a share of casualties. So now we're going to go in and we're going to talk for a few minutes about liquefaction of biological life. And so one strain of the Serratia that I might be mispronouncing it. I'm sorry, it's been just a crazy day. So please don't hold me to the letter of pronunciation here. The one that's going around is Serratia marshicans or something like that. But the one that I'm concerned about, so there's 7 different species or strains in the Serratia family. And the minute that I saw it, I picked up on it. It was liquefactions. And basically, it dissolves gelatin in biological life. So why is this important? So gelatin is a protein, and we've been talking a lot about proteins derived from the collagen found in human and animal tissue, such as the skin, bones, and connective tissue. This is the next step in the liquefaction of humans and animals. That is now the law in states like Washington State. Washington State was the first, but since that time, That was 2017. It became the law of Washington State to liquefy uh, he, uh, uh, corpses. But now many states have adopted it. Why did they do that? Because in the green understanding, let's just put it that way. Let's be kind. Uh, they it's hurtful to bury a person because that hurts the earth. It's hurtful to the air to incinerate a person through cremation. So basically, what they do is basically they put like chemicals in bodies and they liquefy them, and then once those bodies are liquefied, it doesn't matter if they're animal, human, plant, it really doesn't matter. Once they're liquefied, they put it and dump it into the water system. Yes, you heard me right. And also they spray it on crops. Now, there's no disinfection there. It's just a chemical procedure that they do. Think about the people that maybe, God forbid, they had chemotherapy, they're on all these pharmaceuticals. Those pharmaceuticals stay in that globular mess or liquid, and then they get sprayed on the crops that you then eat. So basically, Washington State, it's called the Washington State Alkaline Hydrolysis Law. Hydrolysis comes to you from the Greek hydro, which of course means water, and lysis means to unbind. And remember, we're at this time in history where the science and technology is trying to unbind the molecules and atoms and redesign them as building blocks for this new creation or engineering project that they've got going for the synthetic digital twin. It is a chemical reaction in which a molecule of water breaks one or more of its chemical bonds. The term is used broadly for substitution, elimination, and solivation reactions in which the water is the nucleophile. Washington State has this law that allows this alkaline hydrolysis as a method of disposition for human remains. The process, as with hydrogel, the process itself has many other names like aquamation or water cremation. So any of these that you're seeing or reading about are basically the same thing. And the alkalinity basically takes the solid bone particulates of the body and dissolves them to cremated ashes, which are then dissolved in water. And I do give you the state link for that. And let's see, this hydrolysis, it needs to be done in particular facilities. So there's this whole new industry built on liquefaction of humans, animals, and any other type of thing. Jenny, so we are exposed to liquid cannibalism. I don't know if it would be considered cannibalism because it's broken down to the atomic and molecular level. So, but I don't know. That's a very good question. I'll have to look that up, but it's not cannibalism as in the sense that we would typically think. So let's see then I give you a whole bunch of information about the environmental impact and all alternative disposition. And now next we're going to go on to carbonization. So carbonization is the conversion of organic matters like plants, dead animals, or remains into carbon through a destructive distillation. So instead of like your distilled water and it makes, if you add minerals to it, it's very healthy. This is a destructive distillation. And the carbonization process uses this pyrolytic or heat reaction, a chemical reaction that produces heat. Therefore, it is considered a very complex process. Now, I've spoken to you like probably within the last week. that I would say that this whole situation is considered a Wiccan problem. So if you want to look up Wiccan problems, it is covered in Wikipedia, and you could also find it in your internet search. I do give you like a organizational or flowchart with for the carbonization. It can also be called gasification or pyrolysis, which is the process of thermal decomposition of materials at elevated temperatures. I do believe that that is playing a part in what we are seeing in not San Diego, Los Angeles. They are wiping the slate clean through thermal decomposition. So gasification is a process that converts biomass or fossil fuel carbonous materials into gas. So once it turns through the carbonization to this carbon or a biomass, they then convert that gas or that carbon, because they do not like carbon. They don't want any carbon on this planet. So they convert it to gas. And what are those gases? Those are nitrogen, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and carbon dioxide. Now, the UN doesn't like any one of the four of them: carbon, nitrogen, carbon monoxide, or carbon dioxide. So they are being removed through plants, like we talked about with the fungus this week. They also have in my area, they are ripping up the prairies and putting these giant air suckers, and they take out the oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, and then they put grass over it and rewild the whole area. And I believe that that may be the objective for Southern California. No solid evidence of that as yet, but sometimes if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. And so I do give you the link for the gasification. Now, pyrolysis is coined from the Greek, which means fire or heat fever, and lysis means the separation or loosening. So you've got the two bonds, and they're breaking those bonds, and with their synthetic biology and other things, they're rebonding it into things that were not the original design. And basically, this pyrolysis turns everything into like charcoal or ashes, and then they turn those ashes into gases. So now let's look at liquefaction through the Serratia liquefaciens, I guess. It's going to be okay, Anna. I'm going to have this. You can watch the replay, and also you can go to Celestial Report 2. And as soon as I get done with this, I'll go upstairs and I'll make this live. It's already there. I just have to make it live. So this Serratia liquefaciens was named based on its characteristics and historical context of its discovery. The genus Serratia was first named by it's an Italian name, Bartolomeo Bizio, a Venetian pharmacist, in 1819. He named the genus after an Italian physicist named Serrati, who invented the steamboat, and he did it to honor him. And I give you the link on that. So what does this do? And this is just a review because we already talked about it a minute ago. It is named for its ability to liquefy gelatin or collagen. That is our skin, our bones, our connective tissue, which is a characteristic that distinguishes it from other enterobacteria. The genus name Serratia honors Serrati, the inventor of the steamboat. Then we want to shift gears for a minute. I know I'm popping around a little bit, but this is going to all make sense in a minute. So remember, the other day I showed you the NASA Strategic Warfare 2025 document, where it was talking about fingerprintless and signatureless warfare. It's also called warfare on the cheap. I put that in again, but this time we're adding another component to it. So the UN is going to war against plastics, microplastics, using the Serratia liquefaciens. Sorry if I mispronounce it. So in the Serratia family, there's, like I said, there's 7 different strains. There's a bacterium that is bound to play a role in the biodegradation of plastics, especially polyethylene. And you might be familiar with the polyethylene glycol, the PEG, in hydrogel. So most of us have been saturated with microplastics, polystyrene, and polymers at this point. And in yesterday's presentation, we discussed this fingerprintless and signatureless warfare. It's because what they're doing right now is erasing their tracks. So in the past, if you got contaminated vial of something, let's say, you could send it to a lab and they could find it. They would see that it was contaminated. So now they're getting smart. They say, we're not going to leave any contamination. It's going to be pre programmed and it will last for however long they want it to last to do its job. And then it will be erased and there will be no trace. It won't have a signature like fissile material or anything like that. It will be gone. And so basically it erases the trace evidence of all the crimes. So that's where we're at. I give you the link for that. So how does the Serratia strains interact with plastics? So the biodegradation of polyethylene Serratia with the Serratia marsicans has been shown to degrade the polyethylene. The bacterium breaks down the PE or polyethylene into simpler compounds. Remember, we're taking all complex matter, we're breaking it down to its elemental building blocks to reduce waste in the environment. There is the mechanism of the degradation involves the formation and coalescence of microvoids in the plastic because the bacterium, this is very interesting, favors the crystalline regions of the plastic due to their high energy content. So just think of the crystals in the plastics, but also the crystals that they have inserted into us. So those also are going to be affected in this process. It is a very um, efficient degradation, and there is another strain of this that really increases the degradation of polyethylene significantly. And let's see. Basically, the environmental impact, improper disposal of polyethylene. Of course, they care more about the plastic or the getting rid of the plastics than they do of hurting all life on Earth. But that's the way that it is. So the improper disposal of polyethylene causes the land pollution and soil infertility. They don't care about people infertility. The Serratia family offers a potential biological solution to reduce the accumulation of human, animal, plant, and plastic waste in the environment. And then I show you a picture of the how this works, like a graph. And then this will be my last little section because I'm sure you're all going to be interested in this right now. There is the instant upcycling of plastics into graphene. Yes, so as they take and degrade the plastics, it increases and makes this new graphene. So let me read you a little bit about it. So microplastic pollution poses a growing threat to ecosystems globally, necessitating sustainable solutions. This study explores the upcycling of microplastics into graphene as a promising solution. Traditional methods such as pyrolysis and catalytic carbonization are slow and compromise the graphene quality. So they don't want that because they want high graphene. The flash Joule heating is fast, but energy intensive and hard to control. In contrast, so there's this new thing, so pay attention, and you will be able to see it in writing. It's called the atmospheric pressure microwave plasma, or APMP, offers one step environmentally friendly alternative. It operates at lower temperatures, reduction in energy consumption, and provides precise control over the process perimeters. This study demonstrates that polyethylene microplastics from waste dropper bottles can be efficiently transformed into graphene using this synthesis process. So that's it. Now I can take your questions, and I'm going to go, I'll start at the bottom and work my way up, and hopefully I'll catch. Like I said, if I miss anything, be sure to put it in the comments or either here or on Celestial Report too. Okay. Uh, in Xbox, I think it was a religious, spiritual thing. These people are pure evil. Honestly, we've got Nazis around today, and they hate all people, not just Jewish people, anybody of faith. They really believe that power is God, and they're a perverted part of it anyway. Okay, do you know who in our government is allowing this? Or do they know this information? I don't think your average congressmen and state representatives know about it. I've been covering the topic. Of course, I worked in FEMA and Homeland Security. So, of course, we knew about these things because there are dead bodies in disasters. And I'm going to try and hold on to this and fight it as other questions come in. I did want you to know that unless you are identified, and they would prefer you to be electronically identified, you are not considered in the body count. So if you hear these numbers like down in Los Angeles, North Carolina, Florida, unless the person has identification on their body at the time, they're stacked up like cordwood, put in a mass grave, and just buried. So just so you know that that's a real thing. Let's see. I'm going up here. Yes, it is biosludged. Yeah. I don't know if Mike Adams did a movie on this or not. I mean, the whole Washington State passed its legislation in 2017, but I was covering it in 2006. So I don't know. Let's see. Yes, probably terraforming for the Antichrist. I would agree. But don't forget, they want to get rid of all the original design, whether it's original design, human, animal, plant, and just have this new meta digitized thing where they actually did the engineering, not God. So let's see who is doing this. These are, I would say, if you want to really know, I would look up deep eco terrorists, the people that are behind the violence, of course, the United Nations, Al Gore, deep ecology, anybody in directed evolution, experimental evolution. This is all part of that. They they are all aware of it, but your average congressman and state representative don't really know anything about it. And believe me, I've been to all their offices on many occasions. And, you know, especially these days, I did it between, let's see, 2000 and 2007. But now I don't know that they have the time. This is war. This is a war against all biological life, especially and the spiritual. It's a spiritual battle. Let's see here. I'm going up, 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 and then I'll go back down to see if there's anybody that left questions. I haven't looked into Solventum, the company, or the. I haven't had time. I'm actually working on writing 3 books, and they're pretty intense. Like one's 1,100 pages, so and it's all things you need to know. So, and I'm figuring out how to present it to you all. So I got my hands full. I just snuck this one in for today. Hi, Celeste. Is there any good reason for Alex Jones predicting a globalist collapse within 3 months? I don't see that in the Bible, quite frankly. As they would say at work, the train has left the station, and I've said that many times. Oy, 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 oy. Busy day for the phone, I guess. Um, Now, your Madeline Kimbrough has a good question. There are actually liquefied soy drinks, they call Soylent. Now, some of your liquefied soy, that's say that 10 times, are fermented and they are good, but you're going to have to look at the ingredients. Where did that fermentation come from? Is it fermented? What is it? Biomass or what is it? But soy sauce in itself is a fermented product. Okay, now I'm going to go back down. Hopefully, I didn't miss too many of your questions. In a nutshell, who are the powers that be connected with Satan, giving knowledge to them, and what is the end game? Well, the end game is to get everybody on Satan's side or mass death. And I have heard that they want the earth as a blood sacrifice, the whole earth. So who's giving Satan the evil? I think that's a bigger topic, and I will be going into some of those topics in a couple of my books, but it's much too big of a topic for today. It's not small players like, I mean, Bill Gates, yeah, is involved and blah blah blah, but there's bigger players than that. Do I believe that there's interdimensional beings and evil technology, maybe from um, Alien or whatever, just wherever evil, the nest of evil, let's say that. Pigo's trading desk. Does the gasification to the mountains in California lead to a higher uh, fire risk? I absolutely, I, absolutely, and they actually started this whole gasification thing. I was on a major outlet doing an interview, and I was just about ready to talk about the gases that were coming out of the with these train wrecks, and how dangerous they were and what they were doing to the body and how they interfaced with frequency and nanotechnology. And the music came on, the old music, so I had to cut. And then we went to a squirrel to a different topic, and I never did get a chance to have that. And that was when I was talking about synbiotes. So that was about 3 years ago. Let's see. Christy Belly, we are electric magnetic beings. They are harvesting all, no matter what your religious orientation. I do agree. And I also agree. I know that even if they break us into our elemental state, into our very atoms and molecules, that eventually you as who you are, who you're named, what your calling is, will go on forever. Just like, yes, David died, he was killed, but I believe that someday I'll see him again. No, we're not going to be married. No, it will be something that I can't even fathom. But that energy doesn't just go away. You can't stop energy. So it goes forth, even if they rearrange it. I do believe that there is a good power and there's an evil power. And I do believe in the end, the good, which is, I believe in my worldview, is that God will reorganize it, even if it's scattered, because it says dust to dust and ashes to ashes. So we do kind of get broken down in a way, but then the Bible talks about us being put back together with a glorified body. And so all I can do is pray and hope, and that's my prayer. Xbox says, how could we survive in a Soylent Green scenario? One, you're going to have to worry about chemical burns with these gases. That's why take the time to read my Particles of Destruction at Celestial Report 2. So there's gases, there's going to be fires. And, it does talk in the Bible about people being burned out, that the next major judgment against the whole earth was going to not be a flood, but fire. And we thought, oh, forest fires. But I do believe that it's direct. There's direct energy weapons. There's these chemical burns. So that's what I'm kind of thinking at this point. But do I know everything? I mean, I found some of this just this morning, just because I'm familiar with the topic, and so I could go around navigate the information fairly quickly. But I'm sure within the next week or 2 weeks, I may find even more, and I can bring it out to you. Run to the countryside. David and I lived on top of had an off-grid place on top of a mountain in Montana. And one time he was in town and I looked out. I had the goats out in the second pasture and I was reading the book of Isaiah. And you know what? There was a fire that sprung up and it was a hefty wind. And I thought, could I get 15 goats, 33 chickens, and a golden retriever? Oh, it was off grid. I mean, it was like a little logging road to get to the place. Could I get those in a wildfire situation, such as we're seeing in Southern California? There was no way. And so, in a way, I was relieved when I did move there. Now, the place I moved, I wasn't, the fires came within 10 miles of me, and I had to deal with the smoke and the heat and the locusts and all that and all the animals wanting into my garden. But I didn't 10 miles is a ways. The animals were terribly injured. My heart just still breaks from seeing those animals that were just melted. Their bodies just melted from those fires. So, if at the first sign of fire, I'm challenging you once again, pillowcase, put everything that you think that you might want until the end of your life in one pillowcase, and then stash that pillowcase someplace. And if you had to run, God forbid, it could be a go bag or a pillowcase. I just want you to practice it, because in a time of disaster, you may not have much time. 100-mile-an-hour winds with fire breathing 100-mile-an-hour winds, you got to get out of there or you're going to die. So it's better to have it. If it's something that you truly treasure, I would put it in that thing, in your pillowcase or your go bag or whatever, and have some food, because you don't know, is there going to be food? Is there going to be clothing? That type of thing. Okay. Yes, I think Xbox, that this weird orange fog in the skies is partly aerogel, which I wrote 2 articles at shepherdsheart.life. I do believe that's what I've talked about this week. So if you haven't caught up on those, you might want to listen to them. There's lots of chemicals. Then my next broadcast is going to be what's in the smoke. I don't know if that's not a big snappy title, but it's going to be what's in the smoke, because I lived through it. I mean, it was insane. We had martial law, we had tanks in the street, there were military with weapons, and if you went out of your house, you didn't get back in. They brought ringer cops in. If you went out on the road, everybody got a ticket for everything. It didn't matter. We're in the blood bank. Where is all the blood going? I don't know. There, in my mind, there's two blood banks. There's the semi-pure where people, you know, and then there's the like Red Cross and stuff, and then there's synthetic blood banks. I don't know if you're aware that there actually are synthetic. They've been using that on military people when they were in action, and there wasn't any blood. So they've been experimenting with that a good 10 years, maybe longer. Let's see. Anybody that has not seen my fog, fire, cold, couple different broadcasts, you might want to check it out. Tons of documentation in there for you, connecting the dots. You know, I started watching Fringe, and then there were all these commercials, and I just couldn't stand it. I'm sorry. Let's see, Liberty Lover can't help to reduce the terraforming by. So they don't want to plant lots of trees. I said that in my last broadcast. They want to have mycelium, mycorrhizal fungal, just cover the earth with no trees and no plants. And why? Because the mycorrhiza fungi do carbon sequestration. So once again, they're being used as a filtration system to take the air, life-giving air out of the atmosphere. My actual books, Blue Mariner, are on Amazon.com. I have inspirational homestead recipes. I have Seven Thunders. So if you've seen Jonathan Cahn's thing, I wrote this in 2019. And then I have electromagnetic radiation protection solutions, the supplements, and the foods that you can eat to protect yourself from things like radiation, cosmic rays, and other things that we shouldn't mention here on this platform. And the things that I am talking about right now, you can support my work at celestialreport2.com, but I always put up lots of free content, lots of free videos. Like this is a free video. A lot of people think, oh, if I go to Celestial Report 2, I have to pay. No, there's free videos and articles, and then there's helping Celeste so that she can do the work that she's called to do. Let's see. Christy Belly. Yeah, well, I don't know if it would increase the structural integrity of concrete. Maybe if they didn't break it down to its atomic, like the atoms and the molecules, it might. But as it is, when it's that small, I don't know. I just am not that familiar. I haven't heard about that. But if it was just blood and bones, yes, it might. Just like I do hugelkultur, which is in my raised beds, I put tree branches and that type of stuff, and I cover it with dirt. And then it really it feeds the soil. It does lots of things for the soil. It's permaculture basically. So let's see. So somebody said, Gary, that's a great question, but I didn't see Gary's question. Gary, if you have your question, could you put it at the end? I'm starting to go down there. I'm sorry, I somehow missed it. It's not easy. This is very precise with the fingers. You've seen me. You know my fingers go really fast. It has to be because otherwise I couldn't get you the information I do. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's Celeste Solum, but they're basically shadow banning me. So I was building up quite a following, and basically they gave me the notice that if I didn't start going into other people's ideologies, looking at other people's sources, like who has time? I don't have time to look at other people's stuff. I have a particular path that I need to bring you the science and technology that other people are not covering. So they said, if you don't do this, then the algorithm is going to count you out. And believe me, they have kiboshed me. Sometimes, like today, I think 60 people looked at it. It's like, oh, I do all this work, and then you don't know, are they going to even tune in? So I don't know. It's just a war. What can you say? Uh, I It's the best way to support me, Whitestone, is celestialreport2.com. You can make a donation or you can be a subscriber, which is $25 a month. Patreon, they started flooding me. Believe it or not, Patreon floods. I started on Patreon and then they flooded me with illegals, free people. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 free people. And that was not fair to the people that were paying. Some people on Patreon, I had $1, $5, that type of thing. It's when I was making more money and I could afford to do it. Um, but then they started bringing in all these illegals and you could not delete them. You were forbidden. There was nothing, no way to get them off. So I just said, sorry, Patreon, I'm out of here. I just did that last year. So let's see. Yes, I could use, if you want to share this video or any of my videos, I would really appreciate it. This is a war, and there is like this gladiatorial ring of sources, which I am going to be covering. You're going to find it very interesting. Um, and also, thumbs up. It really does help. And remember, if things disappear here, wink, wink, always go to celestialreport2.com because I always mirror it over there. Just so you know. Mark that down. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for question marks. Well, I did like 3 things on the directed energy weapons this week. Next time I'm going to cover smoke because I think that's really important because that cuts off the breath of life. Okay, coming down to the end. I don't see. Well, 5G awareness. If you could get Mark Steele, I'd be interested in getting our two minds together. I did interview Robert Duncan before he was killed or disappeared. Let's put it that way. Are smart meters igniting? I'm sure that they are. Also, like propane tanks. There's a lot of stuff that once you get into a wildfire situation, that then it sets off secondary and third types of fires. So there's all sorts of stuff. It's ugly. And I'll probably cover some of that in my smoke. Yes, Soylent Green. Listen to the beginning of this because what they're doing is liquefying humans and animals and plants and putting it in the water, then spraying it on the crop, the water, or spraying the water on the crops that you then eat, and or just put it in the water supply that you are drinking, which is always a good reason for filtration. So hopefully you got that about the Soylent Green. So Odyssey, actually, believe it or not, has taken some of my stuff down, so there's no sense. Only have so much time. So I haven't been brought. I have my account still, but anyway. Let's see. Okay, So I think that's it for now. It's been quite the day. Thank you very much for your interest on this topic. Remember to like, remember to share. Remember, if you've got a comment, I do look at the comments. It is according to how much time I've got and how much research and stuff. So, I'll probably go this afternoon and answer anybody's questions that they might have. And then as soon as we get off right now, like within 10 minutes, it should be up. The article should be up about Soylent Green up at celestialreport2.com. So God bless you, and we will see you the next time. Talk to you later.